Let's just pretend my grungy hair is for the look and not because I've been sick a few days and not taking care of myself. Hello and welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Zeleny. So yes, my voice is a little different because I have been sick for a few days and I am feeling better, but my voice is still a little bit gone and raspy. But maybe it suits my video for today and my topic. I have dressed in the theme and I sound like the themes. So today's video, I really wanted to talk about the pop punk revival we are seeing. This is something I maybe sort of saw coming, but I didn't know it'd be so quick and so like all of a sudden. It feels like we have several mainstream examples of pop punk coming back. So I just wanted to make a video talking about those few examples, breaking down sort of who are the pioneers in this space right now. Let's get into it. There is a pop punk revival that is going on in pop music right now, and it is all led by women, young women at that, very young women, and I am so excited about it. As a former emo kid, I loved pop punk from the late 2000s, and especially the few women we had at the time. Their songs are still revered as classics of the era. I talked about this a little bit in my Q&A video I did last week, and just sort of seeing how this has become sort of the next big trend, and I only see it sort of snowballing from here. I'm excited to see where it goes. So let's start with the first example of this, the one probably you have heard of, everyone and their mother has heard of, and that is Olivia Rodrigo. So Olivia Rodrigo is a new pop star that came on the scene. She came from the popular TV series High School Musical, the series. She is the star of that show, and she became a huge pop star when she released Driver's License. And it was like rumored to be about Joshua Bassett, who is her co-star on the show, and him dating this other pop star girl. So there was a lot of drama mixed in. The story behind the song went viral, and it solidified her as like one of the biggest debuts we've seen ever, honestly. Olivia is 17 now, and she had 2 follow-up singles after Driver's License that did really, really well. So Olivia released her debut album Sour on May 21st, along with her 3rd single, Good For You, that came out a little before the album. Good For You has become a huge hit. It is her 3rd single, and as of right now, it has been announced that it debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts. So Good For You is a huge bop. It is the most upbeat song on her Sour album. A lot of people are noticing its pop punk genre. People weren't really expecting this from her. Her first 2 singles were a little more indie pop or like Taylor Swift, like a little more ballady and slower, and so people weren't really expecting the pop punk to come in, and it came in sort of last minute with the song Good For You. It had a killer music video where she is sort of playing the unhinged ex-girlfriend, and that is a really good video. I recommend it. It has this vintage effect. It's just tuned into everything that is trendy right now. Good For You is being compared mainly to Misery Business by Paramore, but it's been compared to What the Hell by Avril Lavigne, Potential Breakup Song by Ellie and AJ. A lot of these like female empowerment pop punk songs, or so Misery Business is not female empowerment. The message of it has actually become very dated and something even the band themselves have distanced themselves from. But as of now, I see Misery Business and like the subject of it, it is past problematic, and it is more like campy to me, that it's like the story of like a girl that's slut shaming another girl. I know it's bad, but it's like, it's campy. It's like a teen girl just being like really mad that it's like not necessary to be this mad, but she is. I don't know. I'm seeing it more as a campy song. I still love it, I think, because I grew up with it myself, and it slaps. Like, no matter what the content is about, that song is literally, it slaps so hard. And honestly, Misery Business, I still think it slaps a little harder than Good For You. And I know everyone's gonna say, I'm biased, I'm a millennial, I'm old, and that's why I think Misery Business goes a little harder. But it does. I think objectively, it just does. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Honestly, being compared to Misery Business, a almost magnum opus of Paramore, is a huge compliment, and it's like a huge honor. And I imagine for Olivia Rodrigo too, to be compared to such an iconic song, an iconic singer like Hayley Williams. Good For You has really become this huge hit. It is #1 on Billboard. That is sort of the biggest accomplishment right now for musicians. People sort of campaign for this type of thing, and it's like a huge deal to debut your single on the Billboard Top 10. Even going #1 is a huge deal. There's also another song on Olivia Rodrigo's Sour album called Brutal that leans into the pop punk influence. That song kind of reminds me, honestly, of like Lindsay Lohan's music, which was sort of unfortunately, few and far between. But especially the Freaky Friday song and the band on Freaky Friday that Lindsay Lohan played with. It's that 2000s, just like girl power pop punk, and I'm so for it. Those two songs are my favorite songs on the whole album. The rest of the album is more ballady, like more in the Taylor Swift and Lorde realm. So like I kind of wish more of the album was like this pop punk thing, but I'm glad she has blessed us with at least these two songs. I think Good For You is going to be a long-standing bop for Olivia Rodrigo to have. Honestly, I wasn't expecting this from her specifically, and I'm happy she gave it to us. She is definitely this pioneer in this pop punk revival we are seeing. She's so huge right now. Everyone's aware of it. Every millennial I see on Twitter is like fawning over this girl, and it is just so exciting to see what she is bringing. A lot of references from back in our day. So that's Olivia Rodrigo. I think most people have heard of her. Most people are familiar with Good For You. And if you're not, you should definitely check out the music video. Check out the song if you were an emo kid. It is a great one. Okay, so let's move on to another pioneer in this. Willow Smith released a song called Transparent Soul, and it's featuring Travis Barker. He was in Blink-182 back in the day. I don't know if Blink-182 is still together, but Willow Smith is another artist that is really leaning into the pop punk aesthetic. Even definitely more so. She's more committed to it than Olivia Rodrigo is. So Willow Smith released a single in early May, and she does have an album coming. She is sort of very committed to the visuals. If you watch the music video for Transparent Soul, the visuals are there. They are everything. Like, her makeup is amazing. The outfit, the wardrobe, it is full emo, full rock. She looks amazing. It really suits her voice, her style. If you don't know who Willow Smith is, she is the daughter of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. She famously debuted at like 11 years old with Whip My Hair, a song that went super viral for the time. It was literally such a huge debut. I'm honestly surprised. I feel like we had Whip My Hair and then we didn't hear much of her in the mainstream after that. I'm not sure what happened. I wasn't following her career super closely. I feel like I heard of her and Whip My Hair and it was everywhere for a moment, and then the next time I heard of her was like with her Facebook show Red Table Talk with her mother and grandmother, where they talk about stuff. I don't really watch that show, but that is sort of like the next thing I heard from her. I think the pop punk aesthetic really fits Willow Smith. Transparent Soul, the actual song, is very punk, and I'm really excited to see what she brings next. I think she's going to be a big pioneer. I don't think it's going to be maybe as mainstream as Olivia Rodrigo. I really hope it is, but honestly, I was surprised I didn't hear about her first single, Transparent Soul. I'm not sure if maybe she doesn't have like a huge marketing push, but I really hope they put some marketing money into her, because I think if more people were aware of it, especially all these people enjoying Olivia Rodrigo's pop punk songs, would be really interested in seeing Willow Smith's. I saw the post for the Transparent Soul music video on Pop Heads, which, granted, Pop Heads is a subreddit for pop music. Usually maybe Willow Smith's music is a little more on the punk rock side and not like mostly for the target demographic of pop heads, but I was surprised the post announcing her music video on the subreddit had like 5 total comments on it, and the top comment on it literally was like, where is everybody, kind of thing. That's the first comment, so it's kind of weird. It's not getting a ton of attention. I hope it does, because Willow Smith deserves it. She's doing a lot for the pop punk revival, and like there's a lot of emo kids I know out there that are craving this and eating this up, honestly. So I really hope Will Smith's like marketing team steps it up. Like, we know she has the resources, so I don't know what's stopping them. Maybe she's just more like trying to be indie or something, trying to be hipster. I was just reading up on Willow Smith, and apparently this is her 5th album, so I guess she has been making a lot of music through the years. I don't believe this new upcoming album has a name yet, but I'm excited to keep up with it because it is going to be pop punk, and this is different from what she's been doing, apparently. So next I want to talk about another band that is pioneering this movement. I want to talk about this band called the Linda Lindas. This one you may or may not have heard of. You may or may not have seen them on social media. This band actually went viral on, I saw it on Twitter, it went viral on multiple platforms. It was a video of a band made up of 4 young women, as young as 10 to 16 is the age range of the girls in this band. The viral video is of them performing at a public library. I think the youngest girl, who is the drummer, starts off by saying that this song that they're about to play was inspired by this boy in her class that he like backed away from her and said his parents told him he couldn't be near Chinese people because of COVID, like racist things like that. And she said that inspired this song called Racist Sexist Boy. They go on to sing the song, and it is amazing. It was funny because when I first saw this pop up on my feed, I was like, this is cute. They made very blatant lyrics. It's very direct. They're just being cute. And then they started playing, and I was like,
she's really good.
They were actually really good. And I was like, oh, they're good. So they just had all that perfect angst, and it showed both through like not just the lyrics. I know the lyrics are like very overt, I guess. They're not like the most poetic, but like it came through in how they were singing, how they were playing the instruments. Like it came through in a very real way. It was very like step off from school rock kind of vibes. So I actually looked into this band, and they're not like brand new to performing or to the scene. They've actually been in a Netflix movie, Industry Plant. I'm just kidding. They're not industry plants, I don't think, but they have worked with Netflix actually a couple of times. They were in this movie called Moxie, which was a teen movie about this girl who like discovers making zines, and that using zine making as like a part of sort of protesting in her school, sort of speaking up about shitty people at the high school that she goes to. I actually did watch this movie when it came out because I watch every teen movie that Netflix comes out with, and I was thinking of doing a video on it, but I didn't because it was a little basic, or like the movie felt a little after school special in a way. Like it really made an effort to be intersectional. I think that was like a big goal of it, but it did feel a little like 2016 feminism of like I don't know, it's a weird thing. It's just very like kind of forced storytelling of this wokeness, but it honestly had a good ending, I think, and it was cheesy, I guess I could say it was very cheesy. A lot of it didn't feel super true to Gen Z, and I really admire media nowadays and teen media that like incorporates Gen Z's attitude. Not that they have to be doing TikTok dances all the time or whatever, but just you can tell when like the writers are aware of Gen Z and aware of putting that into the generation they're writing about versus like when you can tell like millennials are writing teens. It just felt a little blah in the writing, but it did try its best. So the point is that the movie Moxie, there was like one scene where they are at like a little rally and they get the Lindas to play. It's crazy that now that band has gone viral on Twitter, and I don't think most people are aware that they have been working with Netflix. So in the movie they covered Bikini Kill's Rebel Girl song and also performed, I think, an original. They also sang a song for a short documentary on Netflix about a character from the Babysitters Club. It's such a specific little documentary, but I guess that's what documentaries are for. Claudia Kishi, who was a character on the Babysitters Club in the books and movies or whatever. I actually also watched this documentary when it came out because I was a fan of Babysitters Club, surprise, surprise. I was a big fan of Claudia Kishi. A very important character because it was subverting sort of Asian stereotypes. She was just like the coolest character. She was really good at fashion. I remember reading the books and being obsessed with fashion. Anyway, this is a total tangent about the Babysitters Club. But the Lindas actually provided a song for the short documentary. So the Lindas are, two of them are sisters in the Lindas, and one of them is a cousin. And then the fourth one is like a friend. I believe a lot of them are mixed ethnicities, Asian and Latina. And they're just a really cool group. Like, they're really, really talented. I cannot believe the drummer is 10 years old. Their lead singer is so freaking good. And I think they're gonna go far. I saw that they have signed a record deal. As soon as I saw that video and I was like, holy crap, they're really good. I was like, oh my god, I bet they're getting multiple offers right now for record deals because viral fame is something that is very valuable, and they sort of became huge overnight. They have over 100,000 Instagram followers now. Despite them being on Netflix previously, they did not have a huge following. They weren't signed. Obviously, this viral moment is really important for their career, and honestly, I think they have a very bright future, especially with this trend just becoming, it's at its cusp of revival, that they sort of came in at the perfect time, and I believe this is a life-changing moment for these girls. I believe they have an album coming. They write a lot of their own songs, and they're extremely talented. So to sum it all up, I wanted to talk about why might this be happening. I believe there's a few reasons. I'm sure you can also guess them. Firstly, like I mentioned in my other video, I feel like there was so much missed opportunity in the first wave of pop punk in the 2000s. The first wave I remember of pop punk leaves a lot of room for diversity. It was extremely white male dominated. Despite the fandom of emo kids being so diverse, like all kinds of backgrounds of people that were emo kids that loved it, we were not often represented in the people singing or producing these songs. So many fully white male bands that were the pioneers and the people that were making this music for us, and we had very few women, like I mentioned, Avril Lavigne, Hayley Williams, Amy Lee. Those are the main ones. There were others, of course, but those were the biggest that it got, and we just did not have even female representation, let alone people of color, let alone gay people. Like, there was no representation in the artists actually producing emo music. I feel like now we have this huge opportunity for all these people that grew up with it, all these people that now are referencing it, but are of different experiences, have different stories to tell, and there's just a lot of room for other voices in this genre. Next, I think a big factor in all of this is the state of our world today. The pop punk wave of the 2000s was influenced a lot by like the Iraq War and the Bush administration. I know a lot of the emo music we remember and think about is not political in any way, but like that is where a lot of things originate. Like I think of Green Day, which was more like in the 90s, and their sound influencing later bands and later music. There were political undertones to some of this music, especially rock music has always been about rebellion and revolution and sticking up for what's right. That at its core is a big deal, and right now we're going through the post-Trump administration era. We're going through this pandemic and the ever-growing threat of climate change. So young people right now have so much like anxiety probably about the future, and I mean I do too, so I think that's why we're all in the same boat. But that is a factor, I believe, in fueling music that is more angsty, more angry, more wanting to do something. We've seen a lot of revolution against racism, against sexism, against misogyny, against the patriarchy in the past few years, and those ideologies have become huge, and pop punk and rock music has always been a vehicle to express frustrations with our society. So I think right now it's just like teens are craving that voice and that language to express all of this. There's a lot to be frustrated about in the world at large. And finally, I think one of the biggest reasons as well is just like being a teen in general evokes a lot of emotions, a lot of anger, a lot of frustrations, a lot of angst. And we see that with Olivia Rodrigo's Good For You lyrics, and her whole album is about a breakup and her being quite salty and bitter and sour about this breakup, just being a teenager and feeling strong emotions. Willow Smith's lyrics were also very much about betrayal and a friend sort of stabbing you in the back in Transparent Soul. It's just part of growing up, and I think teens will always crave something to get their frustrations out. It's kind of weird. I feel like it'd been a while since like a big pop punk movement, and I'm like, what do the teens in that era listen to get their anger out? That was sort of like the big indie era, so maybe indie rock punk took the place of that for that era of teenagers, but I'm happy now teenagers are finding pop punk again, and they have new pioneers for that genre, whether it's like politics motivated, like Lil and Linda's is a good example of like more of an activism side of frustration with society. It was motivated by one instance of racism, but it is sort of about a bigger issue of racism and sexism that these girls face in their own class. As a teenager, you have so many places that frustration can be coming from, but pop punk and rock is like a perfect way to let it out, to rebel, to stick it to the man, like Jack Black taught us all back in the 2000s. So I'm so happy this is happening, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Were you a former emo kid? Are you excited about these songs we're seeing? Do you think it'll continue? I really hope it continues. I feel like at this point it's become so big that it will snowball, but people are really craving it and people are responding to it. So I would love to know what you guys think about the pop punk revival led by women this time. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. You can follow me at Miscellaneous on Instagram or Twitter to find out about new videos, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!